All right, everybody. Well, it's a couple minutes past the hour. Why don't we get going? Wanted to start by welcoming everybody and thank you all for joining us from all around the country for today's episode of The Pro Perspective, the insider's look to all things CRE. So I am your co-host today, Matt Kors. I'm the regional director here for the Western U.S. at Crexi. For anyone joining us not familiar with Crexi, we are the fastest growing online marketplace for all things CRE. So if you are a stakeholder in the commercial real estate space, please, we invite you to join us for your buying, selling, leasing, and sales comparable needs. So again, that's Crexi, CREXI.com. Today we are zoomed in with Mike Lin, Vice President with Progressive Real Estate Partners. Mike, welcome and thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Matt. It's good to be here, joining all of you from the sunny beaches of Oahu, as you can see right behind me. But in all seriousness, I first put this background up as a joke, but I'm just going to start off with a little tip for all you guys who were able to show up on time. So we're doing this Zoom meeting, and not sure if you knew, but if you go down to your settings and you click the little up arrow near the video camera, you can change a virtual background. And so I just threw up a picture of a beach, but as we're going to be sitting in on these Zoom meetings for the next couple of weeks or months or whoever knows how long, could actually be really good professionally. If you're working from home, you're in your kitchen, doesn't look that professional, you can put up a background. It doesn't have to be a beach. It could be something, like a building or just a plain wall, so you can hide what's in your house. And also, if you're doing some prospecting, you could put a picture of the owner's building behind you, and just a way to mix things up and also to hide what you might have in your home that you don't want to show to the person across the screen. But let me just introduce myself. My name is Mike Lin. I'm a Vice President of Investment Sales at Progressive Real Estate Partners. Progressive is a boutique firm in the Inland Empire. We focus solely on retail properties in the Inland Empire. So I help property owners sell their retail buildings, which could be strip centers or single tenant retail properties focused on the Inland Empire, which is San Bernardino and Riverside counties, about an hour outside of Los Angeles. So glad to be here today. Thanks everyone for attending.
Awesome, Mike. Thanks for the intro. I've known Mike and the team at Progressive for quite some time now. They've been working on the Crexi Pro platform for the better portion of 4 years. So as he said, they're best in class for all things retail in the Inland Empire. So again, today specifically, why everyone's joining us on Zoom, as Mike mentioned, he gave a really good pro tip there from the beginning on how you can change your background. We're going to be talking specifically about videos, YouTube, Zoom, building your brand in this online world. I personally think, it's been a few years now since everything's going online. It's very important. But in particular, if you do not use videos for your listings, why you should consider it, and especially in today's climate with what's going on. So as Mike mentioned, before we begin, he's joining us from Oahu, as everyone can see. I'm in my home office here in Southern California, but logistically speaking, we probably have about 100 people on the webinar, all joining us from Zoom all across the country. So if you weren't here when we first announced it, there's going to be 2 features that you can ask or chat through. There's a chat feature, and there is a Q&A feature. If you hit the Q&A to ask any questions, we will get pinged, and we're going to try to answer all those in real time as they come in. And so, yeah, the last thing I'll say is as we're working from home, as it's always, as this is going, looks like it's going to be the new norm. I'd always recommend you to be business professional from the waist up. So that's going to be my one pro tip before we get started there. So again, Mike, thanks for joining us. Everyone from all across the country, thanks for joining us. Why don't we get right into it? Mike, why don't you talk to us about videos? So when and why did you start using YouTube in particular to broadcast, your digital footprint? And I'm going to show your YouTube page here as well.
Sure. So a couple of years ago, a colleague and we had a listing. We were trying to come up with some ideas to be a little bit more creative to sell it. Sure, we do the e-blast. We've got the offering memorandum, marketing package. But we just thought, hey, why don't we put together a video, summarize the highlights of the property in a couple minutes and send this out to the list. So it was real basic, just standing in front of a wall and talking about the property. And, and for that particular one, I was behind the camera, but then for the next one, I actually got in front of the camera and did it. And Matt, if you want to roll one of my first ones, where, yeah, it's
Yeah.
literally me. I'm standing in my garage, just kind of talking about the property, nothing really fancy. But we really did it to separate ourselves, to just try to do something different. There's people are getting inundated by emails nowadays, and if you put that there's a video in your email, you put it in subject line, and there's actually a thumbnail for them to click on inside that email. It just separates yourself a little bit from the pack, and differentiate yourself in something you're doing different from all the other listings out there, because you're really just trying to get the most exposure for your listing. So you can see the video, this first video I did, it's me talking in front of a wall. I put a couple photos in here. You can see these are just photos, and I'm just panning the photo. It's not even a video. And I put this together just with iMovie, the iMovie app that came on my iPhone. So it didn't even have any special software or any special equipment. So anyone can just put something like this together.
Wow. Okay. So this is from an iPhone and iMovie, just the app that comes on the phone.
Yep, that's it. Didn't you have to pay
Okay.
$2 in the app store? It was already on the phone.
Okay. Okay. And just real quick for everyone out there as well, with so many people on the Zoom, it is going to look a little choppy when we show the videos. We will push this out to everybody so they can see them afterwards as well. No, that's great, Mike. I'm glad you're able to give us the first video on here. Let us see that. Real quick follow-up question for that. Typically, getting anything off the ground, anything new can be tough. Was it hard to get this off the ground when you first started? Kind of talk to us about that, because in the climate today, I feel like a lot of people are going to be, switching their business strategies to reach more people online. So do you see that, was it hard to get off the ground, and was it worth it?
It was definitely worth it. Was it hard? No, not really, because we didn't have any. It's not like we were trying to compare ourselves to anyone. And I think if you look at someone who's doing it already, you look at the people on the news, professional broadcasters, professional YouTubers, and everything just looks really button up and perfect. And we just didn't have any preconceived notions. We're just, okay, let's just go out here and do this. And it might be great, it might be horrible, but I think the first step is just to go and do it. And as you can see from the first one, it was nothing fancy, but I figured I could only improve from there. So really just in getting started wasn't that hard. I had you can put a TV or a computer monitor and have your script up there. You could even type it out in big font on a piece of paper and read off the paper. So, just getting out there and doing is really the hardest part. And fortunately, it wasn't that hard way in the beginning for me.
Yeah, no, that's good to know. No, thanks for sharing that. Kind of seeing the evolution of where you've gone now. So a new video that we'll show here. This is one of your more recent videos, the Highland Civic Center Plaza.
Sure.
I don't want you to share all your secrets, all your special sauce here. But when we look at this video on here, are we talking someone with a GoPro, a head-mounted GoPro, or a full movie, clip here, or what? How did you get this moving on the newer ones?
Sure. So this one, the production seems a little bit higher quality on this one, but the equipment was still the same. You may be surprised that this was still shot on iPhone, and I don't even have the newest iPhone. I've got iPhone 8 because I want my button. Oh, look, you can't even see it because of the green screen effect. But anyway, I've got an iPhone 8, and I had a colleague stand in the parking lot and hold the phone while I was, I had a microphone on. It's a little wired microphone that I got on Amazon for about $9. And we just shot a couple scenes. This one, I didn't use iMovie. I had an editor put this one together. And there are various services online where you can find someone who will edit your videos. And so this person who edited this one is located halfway around the world. And, a service I've used is on Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com. You just go in there and you can type in a video editing service, and they'll put it together, usually somewhere between $50 and $120. And, they do a real good job. And so they put pieces together. You can see there was some clips from people shopping in a store. And so yeah, this one again, not any fancy equipment. It's just something anyone can do. And for the script, I had, typed it out on a piece of paper and read it off the piece of paper. And you're going to make mistakes. So you stumble, you forget your lines, you just record it again, and the editor can put it all together for you.
Awesome. I see the billboards around LA all the time, shot on iPhone, whatever, 8 or 10 or whatever the new one is. I don't always believe that, but you find something new out every day. So good to know. You can just start this with your iPhone.
Sure.
So we have a question that came in from the audience here. It looks like Doug from South Carolina asks, do you recommend creating a video for every listing? I do both sales and lease.
I think it really depends. You need to look at that particular property, if it's, and see if it's worth your time and effort to put it together. You know, if it's a, you know, a tiny space for lease, that is pretty generic and there's nothing really to show off about it, may not be worth it. If it's a larger sale listing that has a story behind it that you want to tell, then then I think it, you know, it could definitely be worth it. I like to put these videos together because I think they're fun. People are starting to get to know me for the videos, so it's part of my personal branding. So it really depends on your scenario, but you know, the more practice you do, the better you're going to get at it.
Okay, great. No, thanks for that. It looks like we had another quick question come right back in. Rob from San Jose, do you have a budget in mind for each video you produce? Good question, Rob.
Not so much. I mean, for example, this Highland one, the cost was me and a colleague in the office just going out there and on my phone. So that didn't cost anything. And the cost of editing for this one was about $100. So that's about it. You know, there's, you know,
Okay.
I've heard you can get professional productions where a professional videographer will come out, put it together, and, you know, they could charge $200 an hour or $300 an hour. That includes their editing, you know, the editing time. So, you know, you could be upwards of $1,000. I don't think that's really necessary, because our industry is not necessarily at that level. Now, if you start looking at some of the videos that residential agents are doing for these multi-million-dollar mansions they're selling, and you look at these and you can see, wow, these are definitely very professionally done. I would venture to guess that those probably cost several $1,000s. But you know, fortunately or unfortunately, how you look at it, commercial real estate is not quite there, so we don't have to put the, you know, those big dollars behind making these videos, at least not yet.
Nice. A couple $100 on an iPhone. That's not too bad.
Sure.
Awesome. Well, hey, so let's keep it rolling here. So there are so many platforms out there, right? You've got LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Vimeo. Do you post to anything else socially or in the video structure? And how would you recommend getting this moving? Because again, I think just back to the current climate of where we're at today, a lot of people are going to be looking at getting their stuff digital and virtual.
Sure. I like YouTube. And in the beginning, I was trying to decide, is YouTube or Vimeo the right place to post? And I just chose YouTube randomly. But in retrospect, I think that was the right decision. YouTube's the biggest video platform on the internet. Also, they don't charge anything to post. I think if you want to post commercial videos on Vimeo, they might charge you something. So I host my videos on YouTube, and then I use my social media like LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter to link back to my YouTube video. So, you know,
Okay.
so everything's hosted on YouTube. So I do post, maybe not that regularly, but I do post on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. And that's something that I would encourage everyone to do. You don't have to spend a lot of time on it. And, you know, sometimes people wonder, well, what am I going to post about? And sure, you can write your original content. You can also find interesting articles about the industry that you think people might want to read. And then also you can engage with other influencers in the industry. So if there's someone in LinkedIn in your industry who's posting very, very thoughtful or useful content, you can leave a comment on there. And as other people read their articles and their comments, then they'll notice your name. So that's another way to make a name for yourself. You don't always have to create the content yourself. Another popular social media platform is Instagram. I personally don't use Instagram because I feel that my clientele, which is shopping center owners, are typically older. They're typically not on Instagram. But if you're in a part of commercial real estate, perhaps leasing, where you're working with tenants who are younger, let's say restaurant tenants or people opening shops who are on Instagram, I definitely think that that could be a good avenue to reach your clientele as well. So look at who you're trying to reach, look at the social media platforms they're using, and then that's where you should be posting your information.
Awesome. No, that's great. That's great to know. And one thing to note here too, if you do host your listings on Crexi, you can do one-touch share to LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook really easily. And it'll post again just right out to, let's say you want to do LinkedIn, obviously the business social network out there. Really easy to share this post. Might write a comment, share it to anyone in your network, and it can get out there very, very quickly. So don't have to go and recreate the wheel. It's easy to do with one touch on your listings. Looks like we had a couple more questions come in. So do you Julie asks, do you send these these videos to the listing services?
So yes, like Crexi, for example, they allow you to add a video to the listing when you're creating that listing, and there's a link, then you can just link to YouTube. So it's embedded right into the listing itself. So Matt, we are watching this on Crexi right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and again, it is a little choppy with everyone on the Zoom that we have, but yes, we're watching this right on Crexi. Another one just came in from Sharif. It is, how often do you post videos, and do you do videos only about your listings? And I can go back to your YouTube page for that one.
So that's a good question. And in the ideal world, I would be creating a lot more videos. So this is my YouTube channel we see in the back. And so I have been trying to create as much content as I can, because I think that the more content you have, the more people notice you. And you can see I have created videos that are not about listings. So here you've got 8 reasons why owners sell properties, what you missed at industry events. And I try to get this out to my database of owners, because I want them to know me. I want them to know what I do and recognize me. And it's a really good brand building tool. It's also really good to support your prospecting. There's been more than one time where I've gone for a meeting with an owner, and when I met the owner, he said, "Haven't we met before?" And I was like, "No, actually we haven't. It's the first time." And they're like, "Oh, okay, must be because I see your face all the time on the video." So it's really something that I've tried to push these videos out more often, not just from my listings, but also to help my brand as well. So good question.
Nice. No, that's a great question there. And it kind of leads into what I was going to ask next. Like how about like the initial draw, when someone can virtually tour the investment, before they call you? Let's say if you send an email campaign, or if someone finds you on Crexi because they're just searching, and then they can go to the deal and already watch the video. Does that, give you an initial, if they call you, they can see a lot more, or just know a lot more about the property before you have that initial conversation with them?
Yeah, I think so. I think it helps. And, it's still pretty early, so it's hard to say, and it's hard to pinpoint, say, okay, this video resulted in the sale of this property to this person. But, I get people who call me and say, I really like your video. Thanks for explaining it. With so much going through email and just reading property offering memorandums, having a video that really highlights the points, I think really helps as well. Also, to put a familiar face to this listing, and that's me. And hopefully they see me and say, okay, well, this guy looks friendly, looks like he might know what he's talking about. Let me give him a call and talk about the property with him. So I think it really does help with that initial contact and generating interest for the property.
Nice. And it sounds like, too, just to kind of piggyback off that, it's really differentiating yourself as well, right? Like do you see it, just when you're doing maybe initial proposals and stuff like that, it sounds like you're differentiating yourself versus other competitors that might be going after the same business?
Yeah, sure. When I'm doing a proposal, how are we going to sell your property? And everyone's got their email database, and everyone's going to post on listing services. And yeah, look, I'm creating these videos, and here's a sample of a video I've done for a previous property I've sold, and sir, I can do the same thing for your property as well. And they look through the video, and hopefully they're impressed enough to say, okay, great, let's move forward. So it really helps in that regard also.
Nice, man. Nice. Glad to hear that. Okay, we got another one coming in from the audience here. Crystal from Indiana asks, do you mind really quickly again sharing the info of where you send the videos off for editing? So how do you go about that?
So I could recommend, if you've just got a video you want to test out with an editor, you go to a service like Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com. Just search video editing in the search box, and you'll find people who will give you pricing for just a one-off video. If you're starting to create a lot of videos, then you can look for services that you can get a bundle, let's say 3 or 4 videos a month. And there's one that I've seen called VidChops, VidChops.com, VidChops, and they have a bundle package. But probably don't want to go there unless you're consistently putting out several videos a month. So just for the one-offs, you can do Fiverr. Also, if you're going to use, if you just want to try it out on a just real simple basis, like I said, you can use iMovie on your iPhone. I'm sure there's a similar one for Android, or various other video editing software in the App Store. Also, I think iMovie might come with the Mac, and if you have Windows, you can use Windows Movie Maker as well.
Awesome. We can put some of that in the follow-up notes too for everybody out there. We had another question come in, John in Atlanta. Have you noticed an increase in the amount of listings, contracts, closings when using these videos versus when you didn't? And I think you might have brought that up already, but maybe just to reiterate that.
Sure. I mean, it's it's hard to pinpoint the exact numbers. I've definitely noticed higher engagement in terms of clicking through the click-throughs on the email blast that we send out for marketing. Also, the click-throughs to watching the video, and I know that we've had offers to from parties who have seen the video. It's really hard to say whether they would have bought the property if they hadn't seen the video or not. But I think in general sense of brand awareness, it's really only been helping.
Nice. Good to know. Okay, so question I have then, I mean, just seeing all this effectiveness in the digital age, right? I feel like the digital age has been here for a long time now, but again, with the business climate and just climate in general shifting, do you see this as pretty effective? And it sounds to me like it is, but effective and important going forward too.
I think so. And I think the commercial real estate industry may be a little slower to catch on. And even for me, I mean, I've known about video for several years and I really didn't start doing much until a year and a half or so ago. But I think as we move forward in the digital age, especially with what's going on now, a lot more is going to have to be done virtually through video, and especially as the demographic of my clientele changes. So as I mentioned before, these property owners, shopping center owners that I call on are typically older, but as they retire or as they pass their assets on to the next generation, who is younger, who is more tech savvy, and that generation is going to be more into using video teleconferencing and those types of tools. So I think it's better to be ahead of that curve and be one of the earlier adopters than to be late to the game. So that's why I think it's video is only going to become that much more important in the near future.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense to me. I agree with you wholeheartedly there. I mean, let's chat about Zoom for a second. So I think we've got probably about 100 people on the Zoom conference today. It's obviously good for broadcasting large webinars and things like that. But how do you see a tool like Zoom? Do you use it today, or have you used it before, or talk about just what's going on with everyone on lockdown and meeting with clients and stuff like that? How do you see Zoom working in this type of environment?
Sure. Yeah, no, Zoom is great. And I've heard, I didn't really check, but I think their stock is up like insanely in the past couple of months. Probably the only stock that's doing well. But no, I think Zoom is a great tool. And I was using it a little bit, here and there, even before, all this stuff happened a couple of weeks ago. I remember I had a client and he wanted to look at a property and we were just going to do it virtually through Google Maps and Google Street View. And he didn't really know how to do that. So I said, okay, just log into this code. You can enter a code, or you can share a screen. So I've done screen share with clients. I've also pre-recorded videos through a product called Vidyard Go Video, which you can do a real quick, you can use your webcam, or you can share your screen, record a video. You don't even need to save it to your computer. And that's a tool that I use, and you can just send a link to someone. And I've recorded a video of me going through numbers, doing a spreadsheet analysis of someone's property and explaining a valuation. So I've done that before also. So, tools like this, I think, are going to be increasingly more useful and important in the future. And maybe when everyone's able to leave their house again, all the people who are using Zoom and all these other digital tools will say, hey, these really worked well, rather than spend an entire day driving from Orange County or Inland Empire out to West LA to meet someone. We can do this virtually, knock it out in an hour. And now I've got 6 or 7 hours to actually do some work. So I think they're going to be increasingly important and useful going forward.
Yeah, we've used them at Crexi for 5 years now, and they're great to meet with people at any point, share your screen, do a full demo, whatever it may be. It's great. Okay, another question from the audience we have here. Are you using these videos also to win business? Do you send them to potential sellers as a way to showcase how you go about marketing properties or your overall marketing strategy?
Sure. Well,
I think you might have said that earlier too. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit, and I'll expand on it. And sure, when I do have a listing and I do broadcast that listing out via video, it's not me explicitly saying, look what I do, but people will see, okay, well, Mike has made this video. And so that helps. And in addition to, as I mentioned before, in a proposal saying, I am doing these videos and this is what I do to help sell properties.
Nice, nice, man. That makes sense. And we had another one come in from Paula here. Are you using Zoom on your desktop, iPad, or iPhone, or all three? So I personally am using it on my desktop right now, and I have used it on my iPhone, actually in the car to do a demo before. So I've done both of those. How about yourself, Mike?
Yeah, I try to avoid having to use the iPad or iPhone apps when I can, because I think the desktop ones are
Yeah.
just that much more fully functional. So yeah, I
Mhm.
prefer to use it on my desktop computer.
Yeah, and one thing about that too, Paula, is it's really easy to use. It's literally, click your screen share. And the one pro tip we had earlier is that where Mike mentioned he's coming to us from the sunny shores of Oahu, where your video, it'll either say start video or stop video. There's a little arrow icon next to that. If you click down on that and go to change virtual backdrop, that's how you can, you don't have to be in your kitchen. You don't have to be in your living room like I am. You can be on the sunny shores of Oahu like Mike is today. So there's some pretty cool tricks you can do on your desktop.
Sure.
Awesome, man. So, just to kind of round it out here, we talked a lot about videos. We talked a lot about YouTube, LinkedIn, Zoom, Instagram, Facebook. Is there anything else you recommend in managing your digital business, if you will? Because I think that's what, again, as people are shifting to this digital area, just because in general that's what's happening, but especially now with these times, do you see anything else you use there for your business in particular?
Sure. Yeah. And I'm all about trying to use technology to be more efficient, to try to do my job, better in less time. And I think something that's really helped me recently is being on the Crexi platform. So, thank you, Matt, for
Oh,
hosting this webinar. And
yeah,
so maybe we can talk about
thank
that a
you.
little bit, because it really does help. And the features, I think, are very, very good. So, we've got, for example, this listing that I've got behind us, and, everything's located in one place. And when inquiries come in, I like to go to the property dashboard, and that shows all the people who have shown interest in the property. And and then I can contact those people based on whether they've just looked at it, whether they've downloaded the OM. People are even submitting offers through Crexi, which I think is very convenient. So this has really
Absolutely.
been a real useful tool to manage my property listings. And of course, there's the lead report that you
Oh
can
yeah.
download all this in an Excel format. So everything's with Crexi has been very helpful for me to look at my listing activity.
And I've got a copy of the lead report here. So just as Mike was mentioning, I'll walk through this real quick. Basically, everything on Crexi, this is the listing that we were walking through in the video. You can post your video. You can put high-res photos on here. All of this, you've got your sales flyer, offering memorandum. Everything's tracked. So anytime someone clicks on the page, goes to your video, as Mike was mentioning, it's going to all be tracked in your dashboard, which on the back end basically tracks everything that's happening from your clicks to anyone that's following it. Downloading your package. They can even submit offers digitally. We've got a marketing feature where we're sending marketing campaigns out to folks. And as Mike mentioned, this is probably the feature that people like the most. You can pull a lead report out of here, basically extracting everything into Excel. And we've redacted this for the information out of here because this is on Mike's listing. But you can see what you'll get is phone number, email address, etc., name, if they're what their industry role is, where they're from. So there's a lot of cool stuff you can do in here. So yeah, thanks for the shout out there, Mike. We appreciate that. That's for sure. Another question just came in from Ross. Matt, does Crexi require a video account to post videos? My assumption is no. I don't believe we do. I think once you have a video, and Mike, you might be able to answer this better, but you can just come here and post it up directly to the listing page as you're building out the listing. Actually.
Yeah. Let's click on the videos, and I think it's just a matter of including a link, because on this one,
Mm-hmm. You
and
can
there's
drag and drop this from your desktop actually into here and just add the video right in.
yep.
So we try to make it as easy as possible. And Ross, if you aren't familiar with Crexi, we can actually handle all the uploading of your listing. So you just need to send us the flyer to get it going, the video if you have it. I'll put this on here real quick to show. You basically come to Crexi, click add listings, and then add listings for me, get started, add listings for me, and you can drop in the flyer, the confidentiality agreement if required, the file for the video, the file for the high-res photos, anything you want on the listing for sale or for lease, you can drop them right in there and get it moving right away. So Great question there, Ross. Awesome. But one more came in. So Michael from Florida asks, thank you so much, Mike, for sharing all this today. So obviously, thank you for that. For me, I am new in this video era. What is the first step? Because I do want to do this. Where should I begin?
I would say if you want to begin, get out your cell phone, get someone to hold your camera, or get a simple tripod and just shoot a video, put it together with iMovie. It's not really hard to do, and just get it up there. And it's not going to be good, but it's the first step. And nothing you do is good the first time you do it. And just do another one and do another one, and eventually you'll get good. I actually went to a meeting of these people who make a living off of making YouTube videos. And there's this one guy I met who's got 5 million subscribers on YouTube. He has a men's fashion channel. And I said, hey, I've got a YouTube channel too. And he said, oh, really? How many videos do you have up? And I said, I think like 12. And he's probably got like thousands and thousands of videos. And he's like, oh, well, if you add like a couple of zeros after that, then maybe at that point your videos will get, will not be so bad. And so, it literally takes practice, a lot of practice. But, the first step is just getting out and doing it and not being afraid to do it, not being afraid to be in front of the camera. So I would just say, just go for it. Like I said, if you're afraid you're going to stumble on your words, type it out in big font on a piece of paper, tape it to the wall, or have the person who's holding your camera hold that piece of paper as well. Just try to get the text as close to the camera lens as you can so it doesn't look like you're reading. And a tip, the farther away you stand from the camera, not too far, but the farther away that you stand, the less people can see your eyes moving as you're reading the text. So you got to find that happy medium. So just get out there and do it and post the video and see.
No, that's great. That's really good to know. I might do it for a cooking channel myself. I like to cook. I'm not good at it, but I might try it just from my iPhone. Again, shot on the iPhone. I didn't know that was real when they put those billboards up, so now I know that.
Yep.
Okay, another couple questions came in. Do you have an audio script for the videos, or do you just ad lib when you get out there? You kind of answered that, but yeah.
Yeah, I like to have a script, and I think when you get really good at this, you can probably ad lib, but I'm more comfortable having a script. And so I still like to read off the script. But as I mentioned before, you can stumble, you can mess up, you can use 5, 6, 7 takes to get the right sentence. And in the end, you just pick the best one and you use that for your final video. So you don't have to worry about making mistakes.
Awesome. No, that makes a lot of sense. So we had a comment come in from Billy. I suggest using the rule of thirds when filming. I'm not quite sure what that means, but
sure. So the rule of thirds I know from photography. So you take your frame, you kind of draw a tic-tac-toe on it, and you've got 4 points where the kind of like here on the frame I have now here, where your points of interest should lie. So I use it more for photography. For video, I typically like to be in the middle when I'm doing my talking head part. You can also film a little bit farther back so that later on your video editor could change the, if they want to use this part of the frame and put some text over here, or this part of the frame and put some text over here. So there's different ways to do leeway. So yeah, in that video, I was a little bit off center, but typically I like to be in the middle, but sure, I'm not a professional by any means, and that's just how I've been doing them.
No, that's a great piece of advice there for everybody. That's for sure. I had no idea. Another question David asked, are we able to add links from our YouTube account to the Crexi listing? That's going to actually depend on the permissions of each video, David. So our product team can get back to you directly on that. But basically, if you want to send them over to us, we will definitely get the videos uploaded on each listing you have there. That's for sure. We're coming up, let's see, we've been going for about 35 minutes or so. So if there are any last minute questions, please feel free to ask them. We'll stay on for another 5 minutes or so. But, I do want to say thanks, Mike, for joining us and running us through this today. I personally think this is very important in today's day and age, especially with what's going on now with work from home. So thank you so much for, instilling your knowledge to us on this subject, being the subject matter expert here.
Sure, no problem. It's fun.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks everyone too. I mean, I think we've got 75 people still on. So we really appreciate everyone coming and joining us today and learning more about this. Again, we will follow up with everyone so you can see, or any questions you have, feel free to follow up with us and we'll follow up on an email so everyone can get the links of the videos and everything we talked about today. But yeah, really great info, Mike. This was awesome.
Sure, thank you.
I guess we'll hang out for another minute or so if there's any questions that come in, and if we miss any, we will get back to you in very short time here. Katie asks, where's the tab for the virtual screen? Okay, so Mike and I were going through this last night actually. So where you find this, Katie, is where you'll see the meeting ID for Zoom. It should show the meeting ID. I think it might be a green or an orange color box around the Zoom at the bottom of the screen. That's where it is for me right now. It says stop video because I'm sharing I am on my video. So it'll either say start video or stop video. Next to that, there's going to be a caret. You just hover over the caret, and the very last one on the caret says choose virtual background. And you'll click that. And mine doesn't work too well, but I'll show you. You click that, and then yeah, I can be. Mine's not too good for some reason. I don't know why, but they've got some preloaded ones in here. You can upload your own. Mike's got some cool ones on there too.
Matt, it looks like you have the one that changes your shirt.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Choose a virtual shirt.
All right, everybody. Well, we're gonna log off now. Thanks again for joining us. Really had a great time today. Mike, thanks again so much for the time in. I think it's very helpful with today's world and what's going on. But join us next week. We'll be back for the pro perspective, and yeah, we look forward to meeting with everybody again back on Zoom.
All right.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks,
Mike,
everyone.
thank you
Have
again.
a good day.
Have a good one.
Bye.